to episode 85 of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. I'm BJ.
Vic.
Before we get into the meat of the podcast, I just want to remind you guys out there that we are on patreon.com. That's Patreon/ Chew on This podcast. And on there you can support us, so sponsor us for as little as $1 a month, and with that dollar you get a shout out. I think from there we have like stick figure drawings of your favorite characters and you and your in our impression of you. You got to send a headshot. Podcasts that you direct. I think hats, T-shirts. I mean, all sorts of things. And the hats and the shirts that we have are pretty dope. So that's something to look at. But yeah, patreon.com/chew on this podcast and sponsor us for as little as $1 a month. $1 is nothing.
It's nothing. Nothing at all. It's very cheap. It's only $12 for the year. That's like a extra large value meal with apple pie at like McDonald's or something.
Yeah, so just keep your fat ass at home one night and give us $12 for the year.
That's it. Because that's what we do. Because basically, that's why I would know that the $12 is like an extra large value meal with maybe like an apple pie. So when you were talking about the gravy, it immediately reminded me of the gravy. It reminded me of Wawa. And this is why. And here's why. Or I'm sorry, you said the meat, and I was like, ooh, gravy. That's how big of a fat ass I am, right? So like I'm thinking like their turkey sandwiches, their Thanksgiving turkey sandwiches has gravy in it.
Ooh.
I don't think it's
good.
Yeah, it's not as good as I don't think it's as good as like what I make at home with like I try to mimic the Monica sandwich from Friends.
Right.
Where she adds like an extra moist thing. I forget what they call it. But I definitely have something like that. So, but Wawa gives you that sandwich, or not gives it to you, but you can choose that sandwich, around the holidays. So it's pretty good for what it actually is. Like, I don't know. I haven't seen a lady ever carving like a whole turkey, but but it's pretty good, and you can obviously use their awesome touch screen and put whatever the hell you want in it, but you don't really need to put anything on it other than maybe like ask for extra gravy. That's about it.
That sounds delicious. All right, well, that concludes our our ads. So we just finished, or I'm sure all of you out there finished all the TV shows that you've been watching, and there's specific ones that we like to watch every year, and then some that we don't watch and wait until the end of the year and binge watch, which is kind of what I did.
Yeah, we were so busy though. Like we had so much going on. It's kind of getting back to normal now. We have some pretty big stuff coming up. Hopefully we can announce soon. But for the past 4 weeks, we've been just swamped with special episodes and events that we were doing. So this is kind of getting back into the grind of what we normally do, and we haven't really done a lot of TV this year.
No.
I think we just did The Walking Dead last year.
Like
the premiere. I think we just did the premiere of The Walking Dead this year, maybe. And then we stayed away from TV mostly. So we thought it'd be cool to just come back and talk about all the season finales of stuff. So I'm looking at the list, and there's something on here that's not on here, and I just remembered it when I said it, is The Walking Dead. So I don't care that you spoil the shit out of it. So, we've said it, or I've said it a couple times this year, that like The Walking Dead has just kind of weighed down on me a little bit, how depressing it is, and the only big things that they want to announce all the freaking time are just deaths. Like who's the next person that dies? Who dies in this episode? And it's really fucking depressing when you center your entire premiere or your big season finale. I was joking at the beginning of the year that the advertisement would be who dies next, and then come this season finale, the advertisement was who dies next. I was thinking, you have to be fucking kidding me. I was just joking about that. You clearly have no idea what the violent impact of Glenn was. And this is coming from somebody who actually read the comic books. So I knew it was coming. Especially after what they did with Carl. Like they didn't hold that back. So I knew that gross shit was coming with Glenn. And after watching it, I still was turned away because I was like, why am I watching the show anymore? You basically made me wait 5 months to watch a snuff film. Like,
Yeah,
you
pretty
know.
much. I
So
mean,
so go ahead and I still have not watched another episode after the Glenn episode because I just didn't feel like watching and waiting for someone else to die. It just was
well,
depressing.
if I remember right, after that happened, it was the rest of the first half of the season was like somber. You know, they were Rick was totally broken. Everybody else was kind of like, we need to do something about it, and he's like, no, let's just do whatever they want.
Yeah, that's what happens in
And
the comics too.
yeah, but in the comics though, he's lying to everybody. Like in his head, he's like, I'm gonna get that guy. You know, but he
Oh
tells
yeah, he
everybody
does
else to
reveal it. Yeah, yeah, that's
yeah, he
true.
tells everybody else to comply. But in this one, he's truly broken, and they start out running around trying to get supplies for him and all that stuff. And Daryl, there's a whole Daryl episode where he's pretty much captured, and they're trying to brainwash him, kind of thing. You know, with this like wacky music they play all day long, and they feed him dog food, and
Okay.
they're
So
trying to get him
none
to
of
comply.
that. I don't think he takes over anybody's character in that because I don't think anybody in the comic books went through that, right?
No, no.
Okay, so
He was
or
trying to
did
make
or did
he was
what's
trying
his
to make him.
face? Who was that guy that Daryl has been trying to kill? The guy with the fucked up face that's like Negan's
Oh,
right hand man. So
Dwight's in the
didn't
comic book. Yeah,
yeah, Dwight is in the comic books, but did that happen to him in the comic books? Because remember,
I
spoilers. I don't know if this happens in the show, which you can tell me or not, but spoilers if it hasn't. In the comic books, the reason why Dwight is such a loyal person to Negan is that Negan broke him too, because
yeah
he
no
basically
no
took his wife and fucked the shit
he
out of her.
yeah he's still, and that's his favorite girl too, because he's got like a harem of girls, you know, and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
that he chooses, you know, randomly or whatever. But one of them is Dwight's wife, and she pled. Pretty much, Dwight was alive because she pleaded with Negan to keep him alive, and that she would do whatever he wanted her to do. So there was like a love between them. I mean, that kept him alive, but he had his face burned because the season prior he like ran away with her and then was caught, you know, and then he put an iron on his face.
Okay.
Which
Was that in the comics? I can't
yeah,
remember.
yeah, or it was alluded to it, but like they actually showed him burning a different guy's face in the series, that because like, and basically it was like a guy snuck around with one of his women, you know, snuck around with
Okay.
one of his, you know, a girl, like a boyfriend,
Right.
you know, they got, and he found out about it and fried his face. So yeah, there was just a lot of things like that going on for like 7 episodes where it was just you got more and more depressed, and then by the end of the first half, Rick finally like snapped out of it and said, "Nah, we're not doing this anymore. We need to rise up against this guy."
Did he
And then
really snap out of it, or was it like they saved that inside tip in the comic books for the very end of the mid-season finale?
they saved that to the, well, he was broken. He
He
was
really
not,
was broken because in
he
the
really
comic
was
books,
broken. He wasn't faking it. I think what ended up happening was they ran into a whole other group of people, and they're super weird, and
are
they live in
these
a junkyard. They live in a junkyard, and I think these people are made up. They live in a junkyard, and they have a ton of weapons. And he, like the end of the season finale, the halfway season finale, he like has this big smirk on his face, like, oh cool, you know, like now we got some shit. And then
I don't think that happens in the comic books.
no, it doesn't. It
I think
doesn't.
Rick the whole time, like I remember specifically after that episode, after the 100th issue, I was reading. I was like, oh, I got to find out what the fuck is going on here. And then for like 2 issues or an issue and a half, you think Rick is broken too, but the difference in the comic books is that you can read their thoughts.
Right.
And I remember a panel that was kind of dark where Rick basically says like, I'm gonna fucking kill him.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So was it? So it definitely wasn't like that. They didn't. He
No,
wasn't
and then
planning the whole time. He just
no, and
finally
then they
something
did.
happened.
Yeah, and then they did a standalone episode with Tara, and she and Heath are like they're on a 2 week run. They have no idea Glenn's dead. They have no idea that stuff's going on because it's happening concurrently, and they they get to this like area where there's a ton of sand on this bridge, and they can't cross it. And they're like, this is weird. And so they pull something or they move something, and all the sand comes down, and a bunch of weird zombies come out. And anyway, you think Heath gets captured or dead or whatever, but Tara falls over the bridge into the water. And when she wakes up, she's on this like beach, and then these women find her, and they take her back to the compound, and it's just all women. And she's like, "What is this?" And they're all like, they all have guns, they've got tons of weapons, and she's like, "What is this?" And they said, "Well, we were part of the Negan group, but we escaped because all our husbands and all the men were being killed and all the women were being taken. But we escaped, and now we've set up camp here, and they have a pretty like intricate system of like alarms and all that stuff in case somebody gets nearby." So she convinces them that she's not a threat. Anyway, she ends up like, they tell her, "You need to just stay here," and she ends up escaping and running back to Rick. And Rick's like, "Where have you been, or have you found anything?" And she kept quiet. She didn't want to reveal the women's camp. Well, in the second half, when they needed weapons really bad, she finally fesses up and says, "Well, I know where we can get a lot more weapons." And so they go to the women compound, and they basically like roughhouse the women, and they take all the weapons, and they're like, "Look, once we're done, we'll come back and we'll take care of you. We'll settle up with you. Like, we didn't want to do it this way. We just wanted to. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. Is like at the end of the season, they're pretty much going to go to war with Negan. Like,
They don't show it?
No, not yet. It's going to happen in the next season. That's
Oh,
why
fuck. They did another Glenn?
They got you on the hook. Yeah. So they end up, Sasha was the one who ended up dying at the end, because she ran into the building and like wiped out a bunch of Negan's men, and then they captured her. And then they told, Rick, "Hey, so like they basically bring her back to Rick's compound, and they're going to try to do an exchange or do something." And when he opens up the coffin, because she's in a coffin for some reason. When they open it up, she pops out as a zombie and almost bites Negan.
Oh, shit.
She kills herself essentially on the way there, and turns. And so, which is different from the comic book, because in the comic book, this girl drives into the compound with a truck, and then Negan captures her and then puts a bag over her head and says, "Yeah, we'll do an exchange." And he lets her go, and when they pull the bag off her head, she's like, a zombie trying to, like, they had killed her. So they changed some things around, but it was obvious that Sasha was going to die, because she got a part of, she's the lead in
Star
Trek Discovery. Yeah.
Right.
Which I'm excited about now. I can't wait to see that show. But yeah, the other question is where Heath went. They never answered that. And he got a part. He's the lead in 24 Legacy, but that show got canceled. So I wonder if he's going to come back or not.
Well, what about the I forget the tiger's name and that guy's name. The
owner. They're all still alive. I know in the comic book. Spoilers, everybody, if you don't want to know this. 3, 2, 1. In the comic book, there's this massive like battle with like zombies everywhere, and the tiger gets eaten. And but they haven't done anything yet. The tiger's still there. Everyone's still there.
What about the Whisperers?
The Whisperers are I think they're hinting on those, but we haven't seen them yet. That's the next big baddie after Negan. I'm positive they're going to be doing that. Probably in the back half of season 8 or 9.
It kind of happens after they, spoilers, in the comic books, they capture Negan, and I think the Whisperers come out.
Yeah.
And then, what's his face gets killed from the Whisperers, I think.
Well, the kingdom, the king Ezekiel, whatever, he gets killed. He gets killed off comic book though, because they find his head, to Spike, and they're like, "Oh shit."
Again, spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers like crazy. Yeah,
because they're not gonna fucking not put his head on a spike. I feel like the writers of The Walking Dead were like, "Oh fuck, what other fucked up shit can we put on AMC?" And again, back to our very first Walking Dead episode, I can see all this fucking shit happen. I can see Carl get his fucking, his eye socket blown out. I can see fucking the back of Glenn's eyeball, but I can't see a goddamn tit on AMC.
Not even a zombie boobs.
No. Not that I would want to, but like that's how
Right.
stupid. Like I don't know what it is about people in this country that just be like, hey, show me some guy's face being bitten off or ripped apart, and show me this guy's guts being eaten, while he's being eaten alive, and you can curse. You can say every curse word except for fucking cunt, and but Jesus Christ, don't ever show me a woman's nipple on TV because if you did, that would be fucked up. After
You heard
just like
it.
it's just crazy. It's just so stupid.
You heard it
But
right there, AMC. I mean, you watch Naked and Afraid, and they're showing people's butts all the time, but not on The Walking Dead, I guess.
yeah, but those naked butts. Yeah, but on those naked butts, you can see you could portray a zombie eating the shit out of that person's ass, literally, but you wouldn't be able to turn that person over and see a nipple. Like it's fucking so stupid, so fucking dumb.
Dude, you just like painted the worst image
Yeah, I know.
in my head, man. I'm like,
That's how
oh,
stupid the
that's
no
worse than
nipple thing.
Glenn's head beaten beat.
It might be. It might be. I think
Well,
the shit eating ass zombie would be like on like Jackass or something instead. Like if Jackass directed The Walking Dead.
let's staple this zombie in the butt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Asshole eating zombie.
that's what like Chris Hardwick would say on his show when they're doing the play-by-play.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's too funny.
All right, what are the shows we got? We got let's do the big four or well, I don't consider them the big four, but I'm just saying they're the big four because they're all on CW.
Yeah, which is going to be 5 pretty soon.
Yeah, but according to them, for now, Black Lightning will not be touching the other 4 shows.
Oh, okay.
For now, until the
Okay.
ratings started tanking, and then they pull a fucking Gotham and just throw everything but the kitchen sink into the show.
Oh my god, that's a show I'm not watching, by the way. So.
We're not watching Gotham. Fuck that show. Still, even the commercials for the promos for each episode piss me off. So I'm definitely not watching the show.
Right.
I think the last one I saw was that like the Riddler is like now the Riddler, and I'm like, okay, so he's gonna be 60 when he becomes Batman.
I
Like,
saw the last commercial I saw was this shadowy figure, and he pulls off this black mask or ski mask, and it's Bruce, and I'm like, is he training to be Batman at like 15? Like,
yeah,
what is
yeah.
that?
I'm glad
something wrong with
I don't
this.
think I saw that. I might have saw a tease for it, but I like rolled my eyes and didn't even click into the article
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm like, oh, you guys, that's it. You guys are done.
Yeah.
You're basically getting to be Smallville now. Like he no like Superman no longer lives in Smallville. He's in Metropolis all the time, but they still call the show Smallville. And then you bring in like the Justice League and Doomsday and all this shit when he's not even Superman yet. Not even Superman. Let's bring in Doomsday.
Yeah, that was the worst Doomsday ever too.
Why don't we have Damian in Gotham too? Bruce Wayne's son, illegitimate son from Talia al Ghul. Let's put Damian in the fucking show. Oh, let's put Damian in the show and explain it through like fucking Flash. Like Flash comes through use some of Zack Snyder's logic. Have Damian come through like a portal that the Flash creates, and then he sees like 16-year-old Bruce, his dad, and he's like, "Oh, we're here too soon. It's too soon. Is it too soon? When are we?" And it's just like a 6-year-old kid doing that. It's like it's Damien. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, I can't stand.
I mean, if
Gotham.
Damien
I've
showed up,
tried.
honestly, if Damien showed up in Gotham, would you be like, "I can't believe they did that," or would you be like, "Yeah, that seems kind of on par"?
Oh no, I'd say that seems on par. They have thrown every villain out there, the Batman villain. The only one that makes a little bit of sense is Catwoman because she's basically like a year older or something like that.
Yeah, about
than
the
him.
same age.
But everybody else, like Poison Ivy, was a kid too in the beginning, and now she's like a grown woman. And I'm like, what, did they fertilize her or something? Like,
They gave her Miracle Grow.
you're right. So that show is kind of off the
You
radar
know,
for me.
it's gonna be. I'm gonna pretend to predict an episode because they're running out of fucking villains and shit to ruin for actual Batman, right? I'm predicting little Bruce Wayne has to go hiding somewhere this season, right? And ends up in fucking Smallville, and you see like same age Clark Kent.
Oh, yeah.
And then then all of a sudden Batman's fighting all of Superman's villains too. Zod is there.
Zod.
Brainiac's in an iPhone. Or Brainiac is Siri. And then they have to fight Brainiac. And then teenage not Thanos, teenage Darkseid shows up.
You got Aquaman and Steppenwolf and
Yeah.
all these people just
They're all
show up.
teenagers,
They're all
yeah.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonder Woman shows up. She's like a child model from a European country, and you find out later it's Themyscira.
So basically, the Flash goes back in time and grabs all them as kids, and then
Yeah, and just drops them off in
all together.
fucking Gotham.
Yeah, and says, "Batman needs your help. There's too many bad guys here."
Yeah.
They're like, "But we're just kids.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know anything." Wonder Woman would still kick all their asses. That's the thing. Everybody else doesn't even know how to tie their shoe at that point.
You know, the crazy thing is we've been spitballing how stupid Gotham is, but all the shit that we just said would not be surprising if it happened.
Give me some money if it does. Send me a check.
Especially the Brainiac as Siri thing. That would be so awesome. That's when they just don't give a shit anymore. I mean, not that they don't give a shit now, because they clearly have no idea how to tell the original way the show was pitched, which was just about Commissioner Gordon. Now it's about his villains in Batman.
Yeah, they jumped the proverbial shark back in season 1. You're not supposed to jump the shark until you're 7 seasons in, when you bring in a kid or get married or some shit.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah, they yeah. So anyway,
they jumped the shark with the bat repellent, the shark repellent, the bat shark repellent.
Right.
Spray.
Exactly.
God, I fucking hate that show. The only thing that would make me hate it more is if I was actually watched it. I was I'm kind of stuck in Arrow. Yeah. If I'm all in on it, like Arrow and the Flash and Lost back in the day, that would be the only way that the show would piss me off even more. Was that I was like, all right, I put all this work in, I'll see it to the end. But every episode you're waiting for it to be canceled.
That's the thing. Is if they had another DC show that was that they both intertwined, then I would be like, okay, I gotta watch Gotham, because that's really the only reason why I was watching some of those other DC shows, because to me they were becoming so. Now we're segueing in DC shows, but they were becoming so ridiculous. But I stuck by I watched all of them except for Legends. I'll just say that now. I haven't finished Legends yet, but after that episode where they all converged together and it was aliens attacking the Earth, I was like, I need a break from these shows. That just pissed me off. So I didn't watch anything for quite a while, I was telling you. And then last week, I just started binge watching like crazy to catch up, and found that some of the shows actually improved a little bit, and some of them are still kind of dumb. So what show do you want to start with?
Which one did you finish last?
Well, we could start on the Mondays. So we could start with Supergirl and just work our way down to Legends.
Okay, so Supergirl. Let's start with there then.
Okay. So I don't know. This one's a tough sell for me, because last year the way they did it, they kind of were pretty straightforward with her, building her strength and building, skills and all that stuff in the DO, and building relationships and all this stuff. And then this season, it's like they just completely went for it. They're now it's but went for it in a way that I don't think they should have went for it. Now it feels like it's Men in Black, and it feels like it's that old show Dark Angel, in the second season, where they introduce all these crazy, experiments and stuff. But in this show, Supergirl, it's all these different aliens from different places, and they all hang out at this bar and, bullshit. And then the only thing I really like about the show is the relationship between Supergirl and her sister, and her girlfriend. I like those relationships because they are written pretty well. But the rest of it, I just can't stand. I can't stand the Guardian. I think that is absolutely ridiculous. the computer guy, he's okay because they established who he was in the first season, and he's exactly the same way, and he's like more in it now. Like now he works for the DO. Like, oh, you know about us? Okay, well now you got to work for us instead of like you're dead or we got to wipe your mind. They're just like, nope, you got to work for us now. Um, and then I don't know, like, who was in it this year? It was like Cadmus, right? Which was Lena Luthor's mom,
Right.
and then the dad shows up, but you think he's bad, but then he's no. I've always protected you guys. I'm good. I just got to stay here. So you get to see him.
Yeah, I'm not liking that storyline.
I
The whole
don't.
Dean Kane thing.
Yeah, I don't either. It would have been a cool idea, but they kind of ruined it. And then the Lena Luthor thing, I'm just not sure of. Like, I go back and forth between it. Like, some episodes, I'm like, okay, it's kind of cool she's here. And then other episodes, I was like, I just don't know
I
if she
can't stop
belongs.
looking at that woman and not think about the giant dinosaur that killed her in Jurassic World.
Oh, yeah, that was the worst part of that movie. That was the scariest part of that movie was that part.
Yeah,
Because that would be horrifying,
yeah.
for that to happen.
But
Um,
I get what you're saying about Lena because to me it sometimes feels like, and I don't know Lena Luthor's comic book origin like story,
no.
so I don't know much about it. But but it feels like they're really really falling short from the Smallville Clark and Lex dynamic,
Yes.
where I that was my favorite part of Smallville, where they were like, well, let's have these guys be best friends. Clark with the wholesome family, Lex with the fucked up family, and older, but still envious of Clark, and their friendship budding from that. But slowly, you see how the show changes their dynamic, and that was my favorite part of Smallville. I think the show for me started really tanking also when Michael Rosenbaum left the show.
Yeah, it did. It did suffer greatly because then they started like what Lana got powers and like they did all this weird shit in
Yeah,
those last few seasons. But
yeah.
um,
So I think I mean, I think that's what I don't know if you mean the same thing that I'm meaning, but like I think that's why you go back and forth because it kind of reminds you of Clark and Lex in Smallville, but the dynamic and the chemistry isn't really there.
it's not there, and also she is not. It show. I mean, she seems good, like she's good, but Lex, like you knew there was a little twinkle in his eye where he was a little evil, but yet he struggled with it. And then his father
Yeah.
ended up pushing him over the edge, essentially. Like, you need to be evil kind of thing. Like it's the only
Well,
thing.
that's what pisses me off about the the Snyder versions of Clark's father,
Yeah.
because in Smallville they really show you the light and dark of both and how Lex struggles with being good because he is envious of Clark and his wholesome family, and it's his father, Clark's father, that he always turns to, or Clark always turns to his father for
Right.
advice and everything, and he was always the steady like Yoda figure. And then Lex on the other side, has Lionel, and he's just a prick,
Yeah.
and you see why one turns bad and one stays good because of their father figure. And when you think of the Snyder versions, you don't see any of that.
No. No. You don't care about Superman all that much. Um, Yeah, so Supergirl's just okay for me this year. It's not anything spectacular. I mean, I'm really hoping that all these shows, and I'll probably reiterate this again, but I hope all these shows by the end of this season, I'm really hoping that they're going back to the drawing board and like really like doing something different. And um,
What'd you think of that guy's banishment, or not banishment, but the fact that he had to leave Earth? What'd you think of that whole ending?
he had to leave Earth. Oh.
The
Um,
boyfriend.
that was predictable because none of these heroes can ever fall in love or do anything. At least not 2 seasons in. It doesn't. So you knew that was going to happen, but I didn't really like the whole Terry Hatcher angle thing. I mean, I thought it was cool when she showed up, but then when she kind of came this like evil entity that wanted that dude back, I was like, okay, well, this is just a ploy to take something away from Supergirl, and then she's going to end up heartbroken at the end of the season. But there's no real like cliffhanger or nothing really that happens. And then also like I don't know. I tend to think that maybe he could possibly be back in future, uh, to be with her and all that stuff when the series ends or whatever. But I was glad that I thought it was a smart move to bring Superman back, even though he was kind of underutilized. But like the whole beginning of this season started with Superman,
Hmm.
and that was like such a smart move and a stupid move at the same time because once they pulled him away, it was like you miss Superman the
Yeah,
rest of the year.
I
So
didn't like him in the second half of this season. Um, I didn't like him as in the second half as much as I did in the first half. It seemed like
they didn't give
he
him
was
much to
just
do.
there. He was just there, and then the fact that he like lost to Supergirl, which I know in the comic books, I think Supergirl is actually stronger than Superman is.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Um, but at this point in time, it's Supergirl who's still kind of rookie-ish. So I found it hard to believe that she would beat Superman.
right.
So,
Might have let her. Who knows?
well, he was under the spell or something, so he didn't. He was trying hard
Yeah.
because he didn't see Supergirl. He saw Zod instead.
Oh, right. And that
Right.
was one way to bring back Zod.
Well,
But
they teased Zod at the very end. Of the that was their cliffhanger was teasing. I think Zod. Remember the
yeah,
Dark Temple or some shit? There was like a third
yeah.
child that was.
See, again, it's like, why?
Yeah,
Oh,
because Zod
that's
is
right.
not Superman's story.
Right.
I'm
Well,
sorry,
and he's
Supergirl's
been
story.
done, and it's been done like 3, 4 times, like in the movies, TV show, and now again.
Here's the thing about I loved the first two seasons of Arrow. Absolutely loved even more the first two seasons of The Flash, and
Hmm.
it just seems like they just lose muster because we were talking about this before that they just throw away villains so quickly, and then you're left with nothing but the major villains or somebody else's fucking villain. I mean, Arrow. How many seasons are there in? Six.
If they're so they just finished the fifth, which
Fifth. Okay.
now they're saying, okay, no more
So
flashbacks. I hope.
they just finished their fifth season and they dealt with Batman's rogue army or villains in how
Uh
many
huh.
seasons? I mean
Last,
The Al
yeah,
Ghul's were like 2.5 seasons.
yeah. Like
What the
last year
fuck
was
is
like
that?
last year was Damien Dark, and that
That
I hated
was
that villain.
yeah, I hated that them too. But like, but again, you're the he was part of the League of Shadows, right? Or League of
Yeah,
Assassins? Was it League
yeah.
of Shadows or League of Assassins?
I don't even care.
Whatever. What?
It's a
Well,
league.
whatever. It's that's from Batman. I know, like the Al Ghul like goes over and crosses over and shit like that, but that's a major Batman villain, you know.
Yeah,
So I just and then the whole Flash thing. Like, I mean, Flash has some really comical villains. You got the Trickster, you got Boomerang, you've got Captain Cold, you've got whatever the fire guy's name is. This Grodd. They've got some. He's got some weird villains, but they make him like Freak of the Week. So then you're stuck with every every person that you bring over that's supposed to defeat the Flash is another speedster. So
right.
four seasons now, four fucking
Three,
speedsters.
three.
3 seasons.
Yeah,
Oh shit, it feels like it's longer than that. That
I know.
sucks.
I know. That's why it's like well, the problem with the Flash, and we've said it before, is that they keep doing the same twists, and it's gotten tiring now. And
Yeah.
also they have this like overarching story arc, which is fine, but they have these episodes in between that like hey, I got to go to Gorilla City. So while he's in Gorilla City, how come Savitar isn't like fucking up the city or killing all his friends? Or so when he shows back up, he's like, oh my god, what happened?
Right,
It's
exactly.
like he just kicks back, and Savitar knows that he's in Gorilla City or he's doing that because he's the same person. So whenever Barry experiences something, Savitar gets it in his mind, and
Sabotage.
so
If this show had a no holds barred thing and I was writing it, I could basically kill everybody except for Barry when Barry goes to take a shit, and I know when he's taking a shit, and then I just go kill everybody and start in the fucking facility,
I know it doesn't
literally.
make any sense.
Or at
That's
least
why.
you could like kill half of the people before the Flash is done taking a shit. You know what I mean? You could base every time the Flash has to take a shit, you could kill somebody else.
It's like I know where
Yeah.
I'm at this point in time.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like it
yeah,
doesn't matter. Like all Savitar or any of the speedsters would need is that split second just to kill somebody else while the Flash is taking his shit.
yeah. I just didn't get what his deal was. Like he wanted Barry to suffer. I get it, but why? I mean, he waited so long and waited and had many opportunities to do something, but you know,
Well, what doesn't make sense is that at some point in time, Savitar did not exist in the way that they explained it, because that's the launching point, right, for him to become Savitar. That's how Savitar says that's how he was created, with the death of Iris by Savitar. And I'm like,
right,
wait, how is that possible? Then who was the original Savitar then?
right. I don't
Because
know.
somebody had to kill Iris for him to create Flashpoint, for him to create the what does he call himself? Not a like a
I don't.
fake, not like a fake slash real person. Starts with a D, I think.
Remnant
No,
or oh,
maybe a remnant. I don't know, something like that. Whatever. But he constantly says like, Iris has to die for me to exist, and I'm like, okay, well then who was the original Savitar then?
yeah. How did this all start?
Yeah, because how did she just like fall and trip on like while she was eating like Chinese food and the fucking chopstick went through her skull? Like, how did she die originally? Because basically there has to be an origin of how it all started.
Yeah,
So, and he always points to that part, but I'm like, well, you didn't exist at that part. So how did, like, because now your brain's going to start hurting because no matter, because again, that's how Savitar says he's created. Okay.
yeah,
Well, then
yeah.
how can you be created and kill Iris at the same point in time? You can do that later, but if you go all the way back to the beginning, you can't be Savitar at that point in time because you didn't exist.
Right.
You never existed. You were never created to go back in time to kill her. So I don't understand. That's the part I don't understand. Like, this is what happens
Well,
when you fuck with time a lot, or you have two nerds that really understand the like how
but
difficult
it's
time
not.
travel is.
So okay, so there's all that, but beyond that, so for how long did they know that she was going to die? Like
Oh,
for like
forever.
10. Yeah, okay. So during that time, they had a musical episode. They went to Gorilla City. They fought against alien. Like you name it, they went off somewhere else completely to do something else. They're like, okay, fuck this Iris thing right now. We got to take care of this shit. And so as a viewer, it annoys me because that's a major storyline, like a major thing that's going to happen. And so for them just like abandon it to go deal with gorillas in Gorilla City, it just sounds asinine to me. Like I like, oh, so Jesse or what's his name? HR is stuck. We got to drop everything and go. Well, what about Iris? Well, I don't know. Like that's 3 months from now, so we got to do this now. So they go and save what's his name. It's like as a viewer, it annoys me because I'm focused on. I'm always like, well, what about this? I'm always like, well, what
Well,
about that thing?
with that, I can know,
You know?
like, I could think how a writer would write, and it's like, well, Savitar had mentioned that Iris needs to be there, so Iris is safe until that point. Like, that's how it has to happen.
Yeah,
So
but
everybody else isn't, though.
I get the way they wrote it, but I have to disagree with that whole premise because we'll get into agents pretty soon because the way they did things is exactly the way that they should have dealt with it in the Flash. But so besides the Flash, what else we got? We got Arrow.
Arrow.
So Arrow
God, this fucking show.
hopefully is going to end this backstory bullshit because the backstory stuff got even more ridiculous this year with Dolph Lundgren and all this stuff. And
They said they actually fixed it this year.
yeah, no, I mean the flashbacks would be like 10 or 15 seconds.
Yeah, they're getting
And
shorter
then-
and shorter. Then Diggle had a few flashbacks. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Let's just give everybody flashbacks. Fucking
That's
Diggle.
that's what I'm like worried about next season, where they start doing flashbacks between all the other characters. And you're
Oh,
like,
fucking
what?
A, Jesus Christ.
Because they did do a flashback in the show, but the flashback was like earlier in the year,
Yeah,
like,
it was
where-
Diggle.
and that wasn't that bad. No, they did it. They did it with him, but they also did it with Felicity and
that's right.
Arrow.
Yeah, that's
like
right,
you
that's
didn't
right.
know they hooked up at all during the
Right.
season,
But it's
but
getting
they
to the
did.
point where it's like if I was filming a scene, like if I had the money or the talent to film the scene, I would film them having a scene like Oliver coming in and briefing the team, right? And then do the
Yeah.
flashback noise and then just play the same identical scene because that's how ridiculous it is. Like the flashbacks are getting shorter, but they're getting closer and closer to they even do it in the same season. So I think it would be funny as fuck if you just replayed the scene. Just flashback to the very beginning of the scene
Yeah. Yeah. No,
and just show the
totally.
whole thing. Like it's so dumb. And then
Yeah.
I you just scared me with next season too, because I didn't even think about the fact that they would do flashbacks for the other characters, and I'm thinking, oh fuck that, don't do that, please don't do that.
Yeah.
If anybody somewhat famous or knows somebody of like that is part of that show, let them listen to this and please and write this part right now. Don't fucking flashback with anyone else. Holy fuck, don't.
This is the only show that also you could see the fight sequences coming, and the fight sequences look very choreographed.
Yeah.
I don't know how you fix something like that, but they
I
do
hate.
need.
Here's
I
why I
mean,
hate this show. Team Arrow. They should all have died the first night they went out fucking patrolling.
yeah,
Okay,
like
so here's the most unreal thing of all of Team Arrow. Ready? So in the beginning, when Mister Terrific first started patrolling with them, his hair would stay the same,
right,
I think, and then all of a sudden they gave him cornrows. So I'm thinking like it takes what 10, 15 minutes for Arrow to get his shit on. Do you know how long it takes to get that tight of a cornrow? like 5 hours. Like 5 fucking hours. And he does it in the same time that the other guy puts on his fucking hockey
right,
mask.
yeah,
Like you're Team Arrow now and you're still wearing the same shitty hockey mask. And then so yeah, I think that's the most unbelievable part that like the mission's not over by the time he's finished with his hair. The only way
right.
that he could ever get his hair done on time is if he's always calling Barry to do his hair right before he changes. That and then after that he should die in the first time he goes patrolling. Why? Because the guy was a fucking a fucking IT guy,
Yeah, and now he knows like martial arts and stuff,
and now he was
and the other,
fighting 3 or 4 League of Assassins.
and he's the one guy too where you just look at him and go like, oh, it's you, because he just spray paints a black T on his face,
Yeah, and doesn't wear his
and
glasses.
it's like blackface on black. It's terrible.
Yeah,
I don't I think that's really bad.
but
Um,
again, it's unbelievable that he's still alive. Unbelievable that he's
yeah,
still alive. Because if you put all these guys in a row, I would have said, okay, Mr. Terrific's gonna die first, at least on the first night, or mortally wounded. Like you might not last your injuries to the next day. That I'm thinking
oh,
you're dead first.
and now that they've got him in there, he has the most ridiculous tech too.
Well, that's
Like
in the
he
comic books. Those two balls are in
yeah,
the comic
I know
books.
they're in the comic book, but because they've grounded a lot of I shouldn't say grounded in reality because that sounds stupid, but Arrow is the most grounded out of all the other shows because none of those people have superpowers, right? They just fight.
Not anymore. The
So
guy with the coat died.
oh right, or his coat died. I think
Oh,
he
that's right.
lived, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he just like ruined his coat because like that guy.
He ruined his coat. Like he got a stain on it or something.
Someone shit on my coat.
Yeah, I got
Uh,
bird shit on my coat. God damn it, it's ruined. I can't be a superhero
Here
anymore.
anymore. I gotta go. Because that guy, I would send that guy in to like save the day because that guy could just win every time. Like you could shoot him and he doesn't
Yeah.
die.
I could just
But
picture Oliver, crouched over like Batman on a rooftop, and him overcomes like, oh fuck, Mr. Terrific's down again. Can somebody fucking get him? Jesus fucking Christ.
it's like in a video game. You're playing a video game with someone and they keep like not dying, but they're like mortally, they're like wounded. And they're like, "Come
You
here,
have to
give me a
keep
health,
rescuing him.
give me
Yeah.
a health pack," and you have to keep finding their ass.
You're
and
in a
rescue
you're
them.
in like a you're in like a raid or something for like Gears of War, and you're in a
Yeah,
multiplayer, and there's one kid who's like 7 years old and he keeps fucking dying. And you have to keep going over there to fucking save his ass, and then you end up fucking dying.
died, and then
That's Mr. Terrific.
yeah,
Or that's how it should be.
yeah.
Mr. Terrific should be like in mortal danger every fucking time he's on there.
Why didn't that guy with the coat just like, here, Arrow, take my coat for like one episode and go in there and get that guy?
No,
You
that's
know,
true.
could anyone else wear the coat?
I don't think anybody could.
And the machine gun, they would like shoot him and he wouldn't die, and yet he got a little fire on his coat and he can't use it anymore.
Well, that's
Did he
like
jump on a grenade or something? Did he jump on a
yeah,
grenade?
yeah,
Like, what did
bomb.
he do?
I forget, some kind of bomb.
That was enough to ruin the coat?
Yeah, I guess so.
Can he go to like a coat factory or something? Like,
Like a
can you?
men's warehouse.
Yeah, can you patch this up?
Like, oh, we're out of that. That was last year's model. We can't even fix
Yeah,
that. We don't have the same color patch.
yeah. That was one of a kind. You know, we sold the invisibility cloak last year.
Yeah.
This year it was this model.
But here,
That's it.
Here, Mr. Terrific, have some black paint and try
Yeah,
not to
here's
die tonight.
and like his.
I picture like Oliver like face palming a lot too. Like as he's saying, he's like, "Oh fucking Mr. Terrific, fucking stupid name, and you stupid suckhead as a super. Why do we even have you? Why are you even here? You should be
Why'd you-
back. You should be back at the Watchtower. Is it the Watchtower? They call it the Watchtower.
The Watchtower, yeah.
No, that's Justice League. Whatever they call it.
What is just? I don't know.
Whatever they call.
Watch.
I don't know. Whatever they fucking call it. Pulling goddamn Easter egg names and shit.
Yeah, Arrow.
They should be helping Felicity. That's all Mr. Terrific should be doing. He should be behind a computer.
Well, and he was there for a little bit, and then he. Just
But I wouldn't even
like,
trust that guy with a fucking stapler. I'm going to let him fucking come out and try to fight crime just because what? He can punch a punching bag?
And how fast does it? How long does it take to paint that T on his face? Does he have like a T stencil? He just like
Well, that
over his
that and
face
his
and sprays
cornrows,
it?
that and his cornrows. It should be morning by the time he's fucking ready.
I don't. Yeah, it's a superpower that we don't know about. He could put makeup on and do his hair like
That's-
faster than anybody.
That's why they call him Mr. Terrific because his hair
Yeah.
looks like that all the time.
Right. All right. So lastly, we have Legends of Tomorrow, which I'll be honest with you, the last episode I watched was the invasion episode.
So
I was just
it
pissed off.
took me a while to figure out what the fuck happened because it had been like, for some reason, Legends ended like 6 weeks before the other 3 shows ended.
Oh yeah, it got its numbers lowered or something to like that. Its episode numbers. That
Yeah,
wasn't-
yeah.
yeah.
So
That's probably the most expensive show that they have on the DC
might be,
universe too.
but the show ends with them they break time. They kill Eobard by having the Black Flash get him, or with the Spear of Destiny.
Oh wow. Okay.
So he's dead. And the Wave Rider somehow ends up in like prehistoric times. Like something happens because they broke time. They fucked with time too much or did something they weren't supposed to do.
Oh.
So I think using the Spear of Destiny had something to do with that, but I don't think everybody's on the Wave Rider. See, because it was so long ago, and it wasn't like mind blowing. Otherwise, I would remember every detail of it. So it wasn't
Like
anything.
it just
great.
happened. It just happened.
My favorite part of Legends right now is the woman who plays White Canary. Like I really like her now.
Wow.
I do because
I couldn't stand her before because she
I
would,
know.
like,
Yeah, she's
go
really
after
annoying.
every woman and
Yeah, basically all she was doing was like
she had a bloodlust.
fucking the women and talking about her gone bloodlust and
Right.
how much she hated herself. But then when like Rip was taken away and she had to step up, she was awesome. Like so much better. Like she had a purpose. Basically, they gave her a purpose,
Oh,
and
good.
I like her. I think for me, I like her the most on the show right now.
Awesome.
I really hate Adam still because basically every show could end with just Adam taking over and just doing his shit with his suit. But they make him so fucking comical and weak that it's really a shame that he's actually the most powerful person on that ship with that suit.
That's a bummer because last season, the beginning of the last season, I thought he was like the heart of the show, and like now he's just. Then he had a girlfend, and she
They really
broke up with him, and,
they
yeah.
really overplay like how big of a nerd he is.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
And it's
That's a
again,
bummer.
it's a shame because like I also loved Brandon Routh as Superman too. So
Yeah.
like to see him, like I thought he was the best thing in Superman Returns, just
Yeah.
because like he did a very strong acting job in that movie, and that it gets kind of lost to me for other people because that movie, a lot of people hate that movie, but I'll take Deadbeat Superman Dad over emo Superman any day. Stalking deadbeat
Stalker.
Superman dad.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, well, Legends. There's not really much to talk about that then.
They broke time, which is like
Yeah,
going on in 2 shows. So what the fuck?
yeah.
Four CW shows, and both of them are about breaking time.
Well, an Arrow does flashbacks, so it's
That's pissing me off with time.
Yeah.
That's somebody who
So
has a DVR that won't stop rewinding shit. And you're like, yes, we fucking understand you have a DVR. Just fucking stop playing with the fucking rewind button.
I'm in the middle of watching the show. Quit messing with the controls.
Yeah.
Um, so one of the other shows that I binge watched quickly after I had all of them on DVR was Into the Badlands, which was like one of my
show.
favorite shows last year.
Doesn't it make you hate Iron Fist even more?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, even though like sometimes they do some wire fu that's really like,
But it's
oh
still
my God,
smooth.
but it's still, yeah, you're still like, you can kind of forgive it a little bit because everything else is just so awesome.
How kick-ass is the widow? Oh, she's so awesome in that
She
show.
is amazing. Oh my gosh. She's amazing. You know, I don't care too much about the kids storyline, but they kind of like dumped that and then had him come back
Oh,
with everyone else.
what's his name? The hell's his name? I know who you're talking about. The guy
MJ,
who was
MJ or MK or
that's
whatever.
it.
Something like
MK.
that.
Yeah,
MK, yeah.
I hated that storyline last year, and I hated it this year too. I just don't
Yeah.
understand because the show is so good without his like mystical power.
Yeah.
The show is perfect without it. And I fucking hate that mystical part of it. It doesn't fit because they don't even use guns in this show.
No.
They just use sword fighting and kung fu, and it's fucking awesome. And you throw this like whole mystical storyline with MK, it just ruins it. Like they felt like they needed a hook, something like bigger than the show, and I don't think they realized how good of a show it is without it.
Yeah.
Anytime they go back to
I think the
MK
same way.
storyline, I fucking hate it.
Yeah, me too. I'm just like, oh God, fast forward this. But Sunny was my favorite part because
Oh yeah,
they actually did a like a Beyond Thunderdome thing with him, which
Yeah.
I just thought that was so brilliant. He's trying to make it back to the Badlands, and so yeah, it's like this adventure story, and like him and Nick Frost, which that was kind of a interesting character that they added because like he's just like
Yeah.
this big fat comical guy, but yet
his
you find
story
out
kind of
later
changes.
on,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, you're just like holy shit.
He was faking the whole time that he could fucking fight.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, that's a trip. But
He reminded me almost of like a Sammo Hung character towards the end.
yeah, he did. He did. Well, his fighting style, I mean, he's like really fast. I mean, he's fat. He's really fast, but he's like really strong.
Yeah, yeah.
And he, no, I think that I like the direction that they're going. I'm curious to see what they're going to do next year. Like, we have to wait a really long time.
So spoilers, the end of the show, the whole map and compass thing that they were trying to find in the first one, it was almost like a Hunger Games type thing. They were trying to find or a Water World type thing, actually. That's
Right.
actually what it was, a Water World type thing, where they were trying to find, instead of finding the last piece of land, dry land in the world, in this one, they're trying to find the last civilized city where
Yes.
everything is everything is normal. So you see the Nick Frost character steal the map
compass.
and the compass,
Yep.
and then go into this like building on a cliff that looks like a satellite relay system, and he turns it on because the compass or the book tells him what combination of colors to do, and he sends out a signal. And
Yep.
and then did somebody answer? I don't remember.
I don't know. I don't think they did, but that just
But that's
that,
basically what it's teasing.
So now you're like, oh, are they all gonna like leave the Badlands and all of them are gonna try to converge on that city now? Like, I don't know. It'd be really interesting to see where they're gonna go.
Oh, before I forget, okay, so all the plot holes and all the underdeveloped bullshit character development that was in Iron Fist, Badlands doesn't have that.
Nope.
Until the season fucking finale, they had 2 major plot holes or 2
Yes.
points, 2 parts that I was like, what the fuck is that about? So the first part, spoilers, in the season finale, what's that guy's name? The Sonny's old boss?
Oh, just the Baron. I don't know.
The Baron, well, whatever his name is, right? Whatever his name is, he has fucking Sonny dead
Quinn.
to rights
Oh,
because
Quinn.
Quinn, right?
Quinn.
He buries him under that fucking rubble and all that concrete because of the dynamites. He has him dead to rights. So
Right.
what does Quinn do instead of like going up to him and stabbing him in the fucking head or cutting his fucking head off? He just walks away. Doesn't
Yeah.
check if he's alive or dead. He just fucking leaves. I'm
Which
like,
that was
okay,
the
well, that's
that's the
that's part one that sucked,
that
right?
was the same mistake they made last season when Sonny, like when they stabbed Quinn, they thought he's like, I killed him, I clipped him, but yet he didn't chop his head off or anything. He
Right.
just
He
like
stabbed him. Well, it appeared he stabbed him through the heart or whatever, and he
and then
like
walked away.
right. Well, at least he did something to like say that he killed him. You don't.
Yeah.
You have Sonny there, and you don't even check. So that's fucked up part number one. The
Yeah.
fucked up part number two was at the end of the episode where Sonny wins the fight with Quinn that you expect him to win, but then he doesn't finish him off again. Like last season, this whole shit happened. Your baby got your wife or girlfriend got captured, and your baby got captured because you didn't go walk up to Quinn and finish him the fuck off. So
Right.
instead of doing the same thing and being like, I'm not letting that shit happen again, I'm gonna cut his fucking head off. Like the part in Scream at the end of Scream where
Right.
Nev Campbell like shoots him in the fucking head and like they always come back. Well, that actually happened to Sonny. That Quinn actually came back and he doesn't finish him off again. So what ends up happening? The fucking woman dies because
Right.
you didn't fucking cut his head off then. And I was like, okay, you stabbed him twice. Even the first time that didn't kill him. The second time you don't go up and make sure that he's dead. Like that was the two dumbest parts in the entire show.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. I don't like that when shows do that. They just throw logic out the door. I just like if they killed. Okay, look, I like Quinn's character is really menacing and he's evil, but if he just would have killed him, then the writers can just bring somebody else in, like something, another entity later on or something.
Which they're going to do anyway.
Towards him.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's what the whole thing was. It was
So,
going to
but-
end. Quinn was going to die.
I just think the writers love Quinn so much they want to just keep him going for a while longer. So I don't know. That bugged me too. That
If
really
you wanted
bugged
to
me.
kill her off, kill her off in a way that wasn't so stupid.
Yeah.
Like have Quinn kill her early on, like after they embrace or something. Like he finds her, they embrace, and then here comes Quinn, right? And then like they're in the middle of the fight, and Quinn fucking kills her somehow.
Yeah, that made more sense.
Don't do it where because you make Sonny a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You make him a complete moron because that shit already happened to him. It already fucking happened to him. And he fucking does the same mistake.
Yeah, that was a bad right. I couldn't believe that. They dropped the ball right at the end,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes Sonny look really stupid and clearly did not learn from his fucking mistake the first time. The last time that you didn't make sure Sonny was dead, your girlfriend and unborn child were captured.
Yeah.
So, don't give me the moral bullshit because he's killed so many people in the season already. Like, you stabbed him through the fucking chest, walk up to him while he's lying there, and cut his fucking head off.
Yeah, and then be done with it.
Because it's not overkill, it's just making sure because he fucking came back from the dead last time.
Yeah. Oh, man. He's like, I think I got him this time.
Yeah, it's like you're fighting zombies, right? And the first zombie that you kill, you just cut off their arms or whatever, stab it through the chest, and then like it kills one of your best friends, and then you stab it in the head, and then it's dead. Then the next zombie, you do the same stupid fucking thing, and now your mom's dead. So stupid, so dumb.
Yeah, I was very surprised that happened because they had done everything right up until that point. And so, I don't know, man. Like, it's just, I think writers get skittish or something. I don't know what the deal is. They just can't pull the trigger half the time. That's why I like Joss Whedon. I like other writers that they just like, well, this character's going to die and we're all going to be shocked, and then that's just the way it is. And those are tough. They're tough to swallow, but at the same time, you're like, you kind of respect it.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, they killed somebody off. Well, shit,
Well, they did bring in a little bit against Josh. They did bring back Agent Coulson, so that's
yeah,
not much of a spoiler since they're in season 3. And
right. Good segue.
well, let's get into agents right now
Good segue. Actually,
because
they're
we're
in
already at
season-
about an hour. So let's
This
get
is
into
season 4, I think. that
and
just
it's
ended.
so I've been riding you to fucking watch this show because
Yeah.
it's like pulling teeth the first 3 seasons. Out of the
Yes.
first 3 seasons, seriously, there might be 12 good episodes out of 36 episodes, or
Yeah.
however many it is. So this season,
66. Yeah.
they do something different. and it's fucking brilliant. It's like it's so brilliant. So what they did was they basically broke down the season into three main storylines. Right.
Yes.
The first one was Ghost Rider, which I thought was going to be dumb, ended up being really awesome. Way,
Yes.
way better than the fucking Nicolas Cage movies. So they do that one. They do Ghost Rider. So it's basically called Agents of Shield, Ghost Rider. Then as that storyline is about to close, they start introducing something else, like an underlying story. And that
Mhm.
happens to be Agents of Shield LMD, which is where Ada is born.
Yes.
As they're finishing that, or they're actually segueing into it, they go Agents of Shield Hydra, which they get pulled into an alternate reality almost.
Right.
The computer system that they're doing, basically like the Matrix. Um, and then that story's going on, and then right before the season finale happens, um, that you end up like you end up bringing back Ghost Rider and closing the loop of the show, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming, because I remember when they teased Ghost Rider in the promos for coming back, I was like, why the fuck would you do that? That makes
Yeah.
no goddamn sense. And then they actually tell you why, because like Ada basically is like an abomination. She's not real, even though she kind of is. So Ghost Rider is sent back to take her out, which was
Right.
fucking brilliant.
It was awesome. Yeah, like we were talking about that. They converged all those storylines into the season finale, and it worked like gangbusters. Like it really paid off. And even the way the season ended, you're like, oh man, like
Oh
they
yeah,
put those people through this shit all
especially
year long.
especially what's his face? What's the tall black dude's name?
Oh, Mac.
Mac.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, that was
okay.
heartbreaking.
So remember when I told you something else happens?
Yeah,
So imagine that happening with one of your kids.
I know.
I would, or imagine you only had one kid, like
Right.
because Mac only has the daughter, and in real life she died, but then you're in a world where she's alive, and then you lose her again.
Again, yeah.
Fuck.
And he's got both those memories,
Yep.
just like tag team in his heart, man.
Yep.
When he comes
That.
back.
Oh
So
my
it's-
god. If you're a parent, or just imagine losing the same kid twice, and then being stuck with those memories.
Yeah.
Even though one of them was somewhat not real because it was a computer generation, but it was like it was basically real for them.
Yeah. I
So,
can't imagine that. That was heartbreaking. That would just like cause me to like just quit the whole team and be like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I'm done with this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
Yeah,
that show, that was by far my favorite show of the year.
yeah, I was so surprised. I mean, you kept telling me to watch it, and I was like, nah, I kept hesitating. And then I finally just went ahead and watched. Like, they hook you from the very first episode. You know the show is different, like, from the very get go. Because, like, what's her name? Quake is on the run, and
Yeah.
she's kind of like, what is she doing? Just running around helping people? Or is
Yeah,
she
that's all
actually
she's
on
doing.
some sort of.
She's
Yeah.
basically like the A team.
Yeah, but by herself.
Yes.
And
There's no monologue of her making shit either.
yeah, I love that. And then she just kind of happens upon, Ghost Rider, and then she like starts investigating him, and then
Yeah.
they kind of team up for a little bit. Yeah, Ghost Rider was done so well. I dug that character a lot. And when he disappeared, I missed him. And then when he came back, I was kind of confused too. I'm like, why would they? Oh, it was just a stunt, like bringing Superman back, whatever. And then they brought him back for a good reason.
Right.
And I was like, holy shit, the writers got it. Like, oh, nice. So like, yeah, kudos to those writers, dude. They cracked the code on that. I'm hoping they kind of continue with that, or other shows will follow suit, because some of the other shows could really stand to use that formula. It would work for some of these other shows. Not so much like for Legends, but like the other shows, I think it would work. Because I think a Legends is kind of like a week by week, baddie or whatever time period.
Legends can get away with something because the whole premise of the show is about time travel.
Right.
It's not a gimmick for them. That's the show. That'd be like if Quantum Leap just stops leaping. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the whole premise of the show. And this for, I think for Arrow it might work too.
Yeah.
Just because like your guy shoots an arrow, you don't need a fucking end of the world situation. I think Supergirl really failed. Like as successful as Agents was at bringing Ghost Rider back, I think Supergirl failed in the sense of like there was really no reason for
He was
Superman to
just
be there.
tacked on.
And if
Yeah.
he was there, and here's how you explain it, because if he was there, right, like, other superheroes would be there too.
Yeah,
Because there is
exactly.
Batman does exist in that world. So if it's an end of the world thing, and you know Gotham's a stone throws away from Metropolis and this other city, like Batman would know about it, and Batman would not be sitting on his ass not doing anything about it.
Well, that's you just nailed something right there because they've already established that all these universes kind of they all converge and they all hang out with each other and all that. Like at any point, Barry could have just called Supergirl to come and help him with Savitar, or like, Arrow could have called her to to help him out with Prometheus, but they don't do any of that.
Right.
And so it's really tough sometimes when I'm sitting there watching the show, going like, "Oh, just call Supergirl right now." She would
Or
totally,
have a throwaway line where Arrow calls the Flash to help with
yeah.
Prometheus and be like,
I can't,
because Iris is
Iris is
going
going
to
to die
die.
tonight. Yeah, I got to figure this out.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you have, but if you have time to help me out, come over to my city and help me out.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's no reason why Supergirl should not be called in for every fucking major baddie. Game over.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So they
And
have
they
to
and
be a
they
little bit
and they do
smarter.
that stupid thing where Cisco now gives her like basically like a pager, where it just opens up the fucking portal, and then they can go back and forth whenever they want. And I'm like, okay, well that you left it open, like you gave us a nice little tease for future episodes to join together, but when you're in like dire world situations, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I just it doesn't make any sense, especially in Flash's point because Arrow might, based on just pride alone, not want any help to deal with Prometheus because he created Prometheus.
right,
Up until that point, you have no idea who Savitar is, and there's nothing you're doing to stop Savitar because he's too fast. Well, then you get somebody who's fast and strong, and that would mean calling Supergirl to help
right,
you.
right.
So call Supergirl that day. Just be like, hey, any chance you could help me out with Savitar? Like, have somebody else go because now all of a sudden it's you. So you don't want
Right.
Savitar getting your memories. So you get like somebody else to go fuck. Send Iris to fucking her dimension. How about that for starters? Don't tell Barry and just send her over to Supergirl.
Right, exactly. Exactly. That was the one thing that bothered me about the Flash is they kept saying like, "Don't tell Barry," because then Savitar will know. But then like at the end, they end up all talking together, like, "Oh, this is what we're gonna do."
Yeah, they're like, how do we keep Iris safe? Let's lock her away, or let's put her, in the place that she always is in this building, right?
Right,
Instead
right.
of like, hey, why don't we take her over to like the one person that if she
Who could
just
watch her?
yeah, like if Savitar walked up to punch Supergirl, it wouldn't phase her. So maybe
Right.
you use her as a fucking bodyguard. What do you think, Cisco?
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Like now, isn't Caitlyn? Isn't she's like Killer Frost now for good?
But she does I liked her. I kind of liked her storyline where she was really bad, and then like there was a great scene this year where she fucking uh, uh not chops off, but like frostbites basically the whole Cisco's both arms, so he can't
Oh
so
yeah,
he can't vibe anymore. I was like, oh, that's rough,
yeah. That's pretty dope. Yeah,
But so I think I liked her storyline the most out of everything. Um, I really like it. It kind of made sense at the end where she's like, I can't come back not like this right now. I just need to figure some shit out. So eventually, she'll probably come back in a life saving moment, like
right.
Barry's about to die or get killed or something, and you see Frost coming off scene, like snow powers coming off screen. So that's my
Yeah,
guess for her to come back because it's a typical way to bring somebody back in these type of shows. But everybody
yeah.
should be watching Agents of Shield and saying like, hey, we don't have the strongest villains, but we can cut the season into three parts and then all have a converge at the end instead of having one overarching bad guy that could
Right.
basically kill you anytime you have a Freak of the Week episode.
Right. That's what really bothered me. I think I'm very surprised, honestly, that Agents of Shield was my favorite show out of
Yeah,
all of
well,
those
well,
shows
now it
this year.
sucks. Like, what sucks now is that you told me that they're not going to come back to 2019 or 2018, which blows.
Yeah, yeah. I think they said that won't. But the other part that's good about that is that there won't be any repeats. It'll just be brand new like every week for a while. So there's silver lining, and there's so much other shows to watch. But yeah, we got to wait a long time.
Well,
for
yeah,
that.
but but what sucks is that again, it's because they figured it out. It's like Logan. They finally figured out how to do a Wolverine movie, and then it's fucking his last one.
It's over.
Yeah, now they finally figured out how to do like awesome storytelling on Agents of Shield consistently throughout the entire season, and then they fucking cut this episode season. Yeah, now we gotta wait, and they cut the season short.
Yeah, but again, it might benefit that show to do that. So
well, I know it's an expensive show too, so that saves them a ton of money.
Yeah, but anyway, well, that's pretty much all the shows that I've got. I'm sure there's a ton of other stuff, and there's a ton of shows over the summer. I think Orange is the New Black just started today, but there's a bunch of stuff to watch on Netflix and Amazon Prime, Hulu, you name it, CBS Access, which I think Star Trek's going to start in September. There's a ton of stuff on the horizon. Yeah, unlike you, I'm actually kind of looking forward to The Walking Dead though, because it should now get back to basics versus all this dreary, crappy storyline. But again, that's we'll see like what happens with that. It might get shitty again. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of shows to watch, but and we'll have to kind of revisit the shows when everything starts, and then I kind of like revisiting the shows I like visiting the shows when they start and then revisiting when they end. I kind of like that formula.
Yeah, especially because we don't watch a lot of stuff live.
No, exactly. But anyway, anything else to add? I think we've gone.
No, I think that's all the shows that we wanted to talk about.
Gone over our hour. Anyway, all right. Well, that was episode 85 of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. I'm BJ.
Vic.
Until next time, folks, chew on that.
Later.